bacon time, everybody. Welcome to Dads with Bacon, talking sports for this week, which is March 28th, 2024. And today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the NFL rule changes. We're going to start off with, along with touching on the NCAA Sweet 16 tournament this weekend, which is already underway. If you're just joining us, you either just missed or maybe you were watching Clemson pull the upset and knock out number 2 or the 2 seed Arizona Wildcats. So already an upset. I don't know if it's a huge upset. I mean, Clemson was on a roll, so you kind of can decide for yourself if you want to call that a big upset or not. But and then so we'll talk about those two things, and then we'll get into our Major League Baseball preview special. So I am Aaron. They call me Bacon Ludwig, and I'm going to bring on our boy Charles. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm upset about Arizona. That's an upset for me. That just destroyed my brackets.
Yeah, I think it destroyed a lot of people's brackets. I think what you saw here, though, and I didn't get. I shouldn't act like I'm an expert. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game. I had it on kind of off and on. But I mean, I think this is one of the reasons why they lost the number 1 seed. I mean, they were favored to get to be a number 1 seed, I think, all throughout the season. And if I'm not mistaken, aren't they? They were a number 2 seed, correct?
Yeah, number 2.
Yeah. So, so Clemson's on a roll, that's for sure. I think one of the only other teams that's maybe hotter than Clemson right now is North Carolina State, who's playing Marquette tomorrow night, which I'll be watching that one being here.
Be a good game.
But that should be a good game. But they just barely got by Oakland, if I'm not mistaken, in the last round. So, hey, it's a fun time of year. But first of all, let's get started with, like I said, the NFL rules changes. We're just going to go through these two topics pretty quickly, actually, even though we usually spend so much time on the NFL. But everyone knows, even if you don't follow baseball, that I'm assuming you know that today is opening day of Major League Baseball season. So
the real opening day. Yeah,
exactly. The real opening day. And Dane Johnson, we have DJ coming on here and joining us. This is the first time on our show. He had expressed interest in a post that I put out a while ago on the Dads with Bacon page about doing a baseball show. And so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to have him come on and just try it out and see if he liked it. So Dane, DJ, do you like Dane or DJ? What do you prefer? Oh, and you're muted right now, bud. Right here, let me see if I can unmute his mic. Oh, hey Dane, we can't hear you. You're muted. Oh, try again. Can you? No, we can't hear you right now. Or wait, hold on. Maybe did I mute you? Try again. No. Can you hear him, Charles?
I cannot.
Okay.
I can see him, so we're halfway there.
We were halfway there. We can see you. We can see you.
Well, while they're doing that, just to update everybody, UConn is mercilessly just laying a beat down tonight.
Yeah.
It was so bad I actually turned it off. Yeah, I'm going to switch over to this. We got Illinois and Iowa State.
Yeah, Iowa State.
Number 2 and number 3 up against each other, I think.
I believe so. Is that?
That'll be a good one.
That one's coming up. So,
yep, should be starting. They finished up the Arizona, so that game should be coming up next.
Yeah. So here, while we're waiting for Dane to come on, why don't we talk real quick again? Just touch on, and I don't want to touch on every single rule here because we got a list of rules that the NFL has approved, for the 2024 season.
Some of them.
Yeah, there's some of them that are okay. Hold on, let's see if we got DJ back on.
Can you guys hear me now?
Absolutely. Now we can hear you.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Perfect.
All right. Now DJ, I know you responded to my post about baseball. Are you a fan of pretty much every sport or
Yeah, the major ones. Yeah,
the major ones? Okay, so
yeah,
our
football,
first
basketball, baseball.
got it. All right, so
No
that's
hockey?
perfect. That's perfect.
I mean, I represent the Rangers because I live in New York, but not. I don't know too much about it to like have a show, so that's why. Yeah, but
Well,
the other
Rangers
sports,
fans.
I could do a show with the other sports.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's like I had said earlier before you jumped on, our most of this show is going to be dedicated to baseball preview, but one thing I did want to do is talk about again, just touch on first of all the NFL rules changes for the upcoming season. So
we can talk about that. Yeah.
yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's three that kind of caught my attention more than others. One is they expanded the use of instant replay apparently, where if you are successful on one of your first two, then you get like a third one, which like okay. I mean that's I was fine with that one. I mean personally, I think you should. What I've said for years is if you're going to have instant replay, then what you have is somebody in the booth, like a referee in the booth after every play reviewing it quickly.
Mhm.
And if there's an issue, like if you have the technology to correct mistakes, then just correct them, but then again, you might have so many freaking stoppages of play that it might make the game even longer. So did that one jump out at you guys at all or any thoughts on that one? The instant replay one?
No, I don't have a problem with that. That one's that's an easy one.
Okay,
Like,
Charles, how about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the changes to like the replay and everything, and all, I like that. The way that it's worded, objectively incorrect calls, is how they worded it.
Yeah.
That it's like okay, cool. Now we've got an eye in the sky because we're talking about grounding and roughing the passer. These are two penalties that can have a huge effect on the course of a game. I mean, we're talking momentum swinging plays.
Yep.
So I like that they're going to try to clean that up some. And then the game clock stuff, I think that I don't know why it doesn't apply to the play clock, but just the game clock. But I think that that's something that they need to clean up as well.
Sure.
So I dig it.
Okay. The other two ones that I had, these are a little bigger. I mean, again, there's a decent sized list, but we're not going to go over all of them. Obviously, the hip drop tackle. Excuse me. That one has obviously gotten a lot of attention for especially from defensive players. DJ, first, your thoughts on that rule. I mean, do you feel like it's one that they needed to put in or not?
I hate it. I hate the rule. This makes football feel fake. Like I understand like the horse collar tackle, that was obvious, and like taking like headshots and defensive wide receivers going across the middle. But this is just you can't. This is eliminating football basically. You can't tackle. Like how can you tackle? Because this is going to hurt the game where the ref's going to throw a flag every time because you can basically call it anytime you want. Because how are you supposed? What is a hip drop tackle? How are you supposed to tackle? You can't hit them high. You can't hit them low. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like, what's gonna happen now? Like I want to see how this goes because you literally can't take tackling out of football. This is football. It's a contact sport.
Yeah.
You're tackling.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like, you can't take this out of the sport.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of what I thought. I mean, you probably heard JJ Watt's comment was, I just put flags on everybody and kind of change it to that.
Yeah, because everyone's saying
that's
going to be flag football in a couple of years. Like, this is literally taking tackling out of football. Look, how does that sound?
Yeah, Charles, what were your thoughts on that?
So here's the thing: by definition of the terminology used to describe this tackle, this actual tackle that they are, talking about, is not used that much per game. They found the tackle that meets the description they found, and maybe it was something extremely low, like 4 times a game or something. So this is not a tackle. I know what people are thinking, but by definition of the rule and what they banned by definition is very specific, very precise. And it's not So like a lot of these guys, and they're going to hit, they're going to be wrapped around and stuff, but they're not going to leave the ground when they're tackling and stuff. So there's a lot of criteria that has to be met. So I don't think that this is something that we're actually going to see called a lot. When it's blatant, we're going to see it. And now, according to the NFL, this tackle produces injury 25 times more than your standard tackle. The rate of injury to how many tackles compared to a standard tackle, they said that the injury rate is 25 times higher. If that's true, then if we're going to, eliminate things like the horse collar tackle and stuff like that, then they might as well do this as well. It's a different era now. It's different from when a lot of us grew up. You know what I mean? Safety's at the forefront of a lot of things, and the NFL's got to go with it. So I get it. Are we going to miss a couple of, kind of hits? Yeah, but I don't think we'll notice after a season.
Well, what was interesting too is I did see a meme on Facebook, and I didn't have time to actually research it, but they said that if this rule, and they went back to the year that Tennessee lost the Super Bowl by 6 inches or whatever, where he reached out and tried to get it and was tackled. They said that based on this rule and the way the rule is described and the tackle is described, that would have been considered a hip drop tackle, and that would have been, a penalty and another play over or whatever in that particular Super Bowl. So I thought that was interesting. But
with this, the thing I don't like about this is it's like a judgment call. This might decide a game. Like our referee said, you know what, that's a hip drop tackle. I didn't call it earlier. I'm gonna call this and late in this game to favor this team. That's what I don't like about this new rule. I have a feeling that a referee's gonna do that. He's gonna call the hip drop tackle late in the game. That's gonna decide the game.
And that I think is one of the things that I had an issue with is you're giving just one more objective, rule that the referees have to look at. I mean, they already have enough judgment calls that they have to make, that now you're sitting there and throwing this on them again. They have to look at how the guy, does he leave his feet and all these different things. It's just, I don't know. It's to disaster. Me, the more things you throw at these referees that they have to try to determine in that split second if that was that. I mean, stuff happens so fast on that field, and these guys are such amazing athletes that it's you're asking these 50-year-old referees to sit there and watch it and follow it, and I don't know. I hope you're right, Charles. I hope it's not something we even see that much of, but I'm also afraid that it's going to be do you remember, and I can't remember what season it was. It was 3-4 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer than that, when they changed a bunch of the rules for tackling, and it was you couldn't fall on top of especially a quarterback when you're sacking him, you can't land on top. And there was just so many different plays that affected specifically my Packers that, I mean, we lost a game because Clay Matthews, was called for sacking. I want to say it was Kirk Cousins against the Vikings. And it gave them a first down, and they went on to tie the game, and the game ended in a tie, not a loss. But still, it was they had the game won. He had this huge sack that would have basically ended the game, and the referees were oh, he landed on the quarterback. The way he landed, it was just, I don't know. I hope that that's not what we're seeing here. So, yeah, go ahead.
I think though, but to y'all's point, if we do see, I won't say an abuse of it, but if we see it being called overly over the course of the season, I feel like the NFL's at a point where they'll come in, the next season and make that reviewable. They'll try to police it if it gets out of hand, which we've seen with, the head-on-head and stuff and all. So I think that if it does get out of hand, I trust in the NFL to make the correction, and I trust them to make it at least in somewhat of a timely fashion.
I just don't think you can make this rule, because that's going to lead to that. You saying reviews, that's going to be another disaster, because now you're going to make the game longer. It is like when they want to challenge penalties, when they want to challenge a pass interference call and it never got overturned. So that's another disaster. So that's why this particular rule, you got players got hurt, but it's a call that you can't really make because it's a judgment call and it's part of tackling, like you're tackling the offensive player. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to the next one that I wanted to talk about, and then we'll move on. But the other one was the change to the kickoffs. Now, from what I understand, it is basically like a 1-year trial, and then they'll readdress it next off season to see what they thought about it and maybe change it back to the way it was or whatever. So this time I'll start with you, Charles. What do you? I mean, we were seeing this is what they were talking about when the XFL came back, that you would have, you could use that league or the USFL or now the UFL, as kind of a testing ground. Like, they would try stuff out and then maybe the NFL. And here we're seeing that kind of come to fruition. What are your thoughts?
I love this. And you're absolutely correct. So this is for 1 year, and then they will revote on whether or not to use this kickoff next season. And the plan is that if they vote it next season, it'll be a permanent thing. So kickoff returns are down something like 62% since we've had the changes to kickoff. It's one of the most exciting plays in the game. I mean, seriously, how many times have you seen your team, just out of nowhere, all of a sudden, run the kickoff back, and you're back in the game. Freaking Devin Hester just booking it down.
Yep.
Aaron, you probably didn't like watching him do it that much, but
not as much, no. But I respected the guy.
Just guys like that, right? It's how he did it in the Super Bowl, but we got the best of him, so it's cool. Guys like that, man, that was so exciting, and I missed that a lot. They think that this is a way that'll cut down again on the injuries because, as we stated, safety's at the forefront of things now. So what I think is going to be interesting is this, to me, what I love about this, it's going to kind of make these kickers earn their money a bit, because now they've got to put it in a much more precise range. If the ball goes out of the end zone, team gets the ball in like the 40 or something, 35 or the 40.
Yeah.
If they have to put it in this range where the guy over there can return it like this, like basically like 20-yard range. If it goes out of bounds, so I think it's if it goes out of the end zone, you start at the 40. If it goes out of bounds, you start at the 30. I think that's how it works.
Okay.
So they have this portion of the field. I mean, this is going to be like the coffin kicks and stuff again for punters. So I really like that. That's exciting. They're going to make these kickers earn their money. It kind of makes me wish the boomstick was still in the NFL. He'd have a heyday with this. But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be exciting. It'll be fun to watch, if nothing else. We'll see how many offsides and stuff. That's my only worry about this. Is, are they going to call these offsides? Because there is defined rules as to when you can move.
Sure.
And it's like the ball's got to get there, I think. Yeah, I think the other team has to make contact with it, and then everybody takes off, and now you're only like 10, 15 yards. Man, this is going to be like something on, like old school medieval battle. All these guys are just going to go like Braveheart on a football field. Love it.
DJ, what are your thoughts about it?
I don't know which one I hate more, this or the horse collar tackle. I hate everything about it. I don't like it, not even a little bit. I think it's a gimmick. I hate it. I love kickoffs. Don't get me wrong. I love kick return.
Sure.
That's another part of scoring. I love the kick return.
Yeah.
But this is a gimmick, and I miss and what this does is takes away from the surprise onside kick, because you can't do that no more with this new format. You can't like Sean Payton did in the Super Bowl against the Colts and surprise everybody. You can't do that anymore. And they also like changed like a regular onside kick, like it's harder to recover. But that, and then the different rules where the ball goes out of bounds is at the 40. If it goes in the end zone, it starts at the 30. And you have to, if the ball hits the ground at a certain point, you have to take it and return it. It's too much. It's too much of a gimmick. I think it's going to be a 1 year thing, and they're going to move back to regular. I don't think this.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about the onside kicks, though, that is the one thing that I like that the XFL was doing. That I wish the NFL would bring in. I believe that they had that in the XFL, where if you want to do an onside kick or try to get the ball back, you had like it was a 1st and 20 or 1st and 15 or something. I can't remember exactly what the rule.
Oh, the 4th and 15 thing you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's a gimmick too. I think.
It's just because it's a gimmick, though. Is it necessarily a bad thing? I mean, I don't know. I would like to see that, because to me, the onside kick is one of the most boring plays in all of football. It rarely works. Now the surprise one is different. I mean, because that's obviously
only
it's
way
a
you can get
surprise
it.
and unexpected. But when you're down by 4 points and there's a minute left, and everyone knows you're going for the onside kick, so unless you're the Packers, chances are you're not going to lose that onside kick. I mean, as a Packer fan, I've seen them lose plenty of them that, it makes me nervous. But when my team is trying to get it, I don't really have a whole lot of faith that it's going to work.
You know why you feel that way? Because they changed the onside kick to make it even tougher than what it is. It's not like it was back when I know what you're talking about with the Packers Seahawks game. The formation was different. They made it difficult for you to get onside kicks now, because they were saying because of injuries and all that other stuff. That's just like why they're changing the kickoff rules now, because it was saying it was too much concussion, so they changed to make it harder for you to get onside kick. That's the reason why. But I could think of some great games when onside kick was a factor. Like that's
sure.
Yeah, but like this,
and it's not that it isn't. I mean, I know it's possible. I don't know. I feel like there's different ways that they could do it. That, I mean, I think everything, when you change something to a certain degree, everything is going to seem like a gimmick. But that doesn't. I don't. I guess I don't necessarily think that means it's a bad idea. It's just
this is a dramatic change, though.
No, you're right. You're right about that.
You see, you said the preview, like, look how easy it is in XFL for them to return kicks. I think it's making it really easy to return kicks now, because that's the XFL. That's a lower level in the NFL. Imagine NFL guys like Cordell Patterson return. You might see kick returns on a regular. That might just be touchdowns. You may never see the offense get the ball now. That's another problem with this, because kickoff returns are not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be once in a while it happens.
Sure.
Or it's supposed to be difficult. This looks too easy. Like the space is like wide open. So if you get a guy with an excellent returner, he just sees on one hole, he's gone. So you may never get the offense to get the ball back. It's going to be kick returns all day long, and you'll never see your quarterback get the ball.
We'll see, and I don't mind that, because we Packers have a pretty good returner, so I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of kick returns for touchdowns.
Well, it'll be
unless
interesting
they
to
kick
see
the ball out of in the end zone. But if they return it, they might score all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so now let's move on to, and I'm going to bring Brian in here, because even though he's on to talk about baseball in our baseball preview, according to our buddy Troy, who's usually on this show, Brian, how are you doing, buddy?
Good. What's going on, man?
Hey, bud. Okay, so I brought you on before we started talking about college. We were going to do just a few minutes on the Sweet 16 first, and then we'll go into baseball. But I wanted to bring you on now because, Troy was saying earlier that you have an NBA draft prospect story.
Yeah, I was in the 1996 NBA draft.
Okay, you got to tell the story.
Yeah.
He said it's a funny story. I got to hear it here.
It's not really any big story to it. I entered the draft. I of course did not get drafted. And then I got invites to, I believe it was Detroit, Phoenix, and there was one other team, maybe it was Charlotte back in those days, for tryouts. And of course, it's on your own dime, on your own buck, and there's no way I was paying for that. And then I had one of the people, like one of the hands of the commissioner, call me and want to talk to my agent. So I, of course, gave it to my brother. And then my brother talked to them. So it was just one of those really interesting stories.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you play college ball?
I actually went to Central Penn University.
Oh.
Here in Pennsylvania. So. Okay.
All right. Nice. All right. So are you a basketball fan now too, besides being a baseball fan?
I was. I still root for Duke. When it comes to NBA game, I really haven't gotten into it in the last, I would say, easily decade.
Okay.
I just haven't enjoyed watching basketball, and even college game, I've gotten out of it with all the one and dones, or I just can't get into it as much as I used to.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you're old like me, that is a bit of an adjustment. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so I mean, it's like you see all these, especially when it comes to colleges, all these players that are there for at least 3 years. I mean, usually 4. I remember growing up watching Tony Bennett play at UW Green Bay. We had season tickets, and his dad Dick was the head coach, and you knew. Now, granted, UWGB is way different than Duke. I get that, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was just you saw these guys grow up, these players grow up, and now with things like I even noticed today, one of the other guys for the Badgers, it's an AJ Store, just announced that he was going to enter the transfer portal. And I'm just like, why? I don't. Like, to me, the transfer portal should be something where if you like. I understood one of the big complaints from a lot of players was, coaches are able to go from team to team and sign contracts whenever they want to, which is true.
Yeah.
So if you go to a team, like let's say you go to Duke and you go there to play for back when Coach K was there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he would go to, let's say he'd never do this, but let's say he would have gone and signed to become the head coach of North Carolina.
Yeah.
You should, if you went there again, I see Charles laughing. They would never do this, but I could see a player saying, well, wait a minute. I went, because I wanted to play for Coach K, and, now, I get that. And I could see maybe making a rule saying, okay, you can transfer one time throughout your career if something like that happens. But I just feel like some of these guys are just, I didn't really enjoy my time, and so now I'm gonna, jump to another team. I'm not.
They'll think of any reason to leave, and that's kind of not the point of the transfer portal. It's free agency every year.
Sure.
And
that's the most frustrating thing. Like UW Green Bay finally had their first winning season in like, I don't know, like a decade. I think they had, I want to say it was 18 or 20 wins this year, and in the previous 3 years combined, they had like 5 wins total.
Yeah.
And I think 3 of their best players just left to go in the transfer portal. And I'm like, okay, well, that was an enjoyable 1 year, whatever. But DJ, let's start with you. We're just going to touch real quick on the Sweet 16 right now.
Sure.
And then we'll go on to the baseball preview. So first of all, DJ, did you do a bracket, and is it still actually, perfect or valid? Or
No. It actually suffered in the first round when BYU was playing Duquesne.
Okay.
And I picked BYU. And BYU couldn't score. They was having a stronger. Duquesne was they was playing really great defense in that game.
Yeah.
And because BYU is a 3-point, they're a jump shooting team, so they can't really put the ball on the floor. So when you play real good defense, it's a tough time. But when they open, they'll make their shots. So Duquesne just played lockdown press defense, and then on BYU, and they couldn't do anything. So I'm like, I couldn't even get past the first round. This is frustrating. But I'm enjoying the game. The tournament has been great. I like the matchups in this round with North Carolina versus Alabama going on right now. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Alabama doesn't play any defense. And just watch Clemson upset Arizona.
Yep.
So it's been a lot of fun.
So now who did you pick to win it all?
Oh, I picked UConn. I picked UConn to play. Who did I pick them to play? I think I picked them to play Kentucky in the championship.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so
and I have UConn over Houston. So at least my 2 championship teams are still alive.
Mine's going. Coach Cal lost to Oakland.
Yeah.
I mean, is he really like the? I said this, but I'm gonna ask you guys: do you think he's like the college basketball version of Doc Rivers?
That's not a bad comparison. I just had a conversation. Charles, I'll get to you in just a second. But it's funny that you bring that up because on Wednesday nights I just started doing a video game show, and one of the guys, his name is Tremaine Johnson, out of Chicago.
Okay.
Big basketball fan. He happened to have tickets on Tuesday night to the Bucks Bucks against the Lakers in Milwaukee. And actually my wife and I took our daughter to that game. So I met him at halftime, got to talk to him a little bit and everything. And we were talking last night after the show was over, and he goes, one of the worst things you guys did, and he's a Bulls fan and a Lakers fan. And he goes, one of the worst things you guys did was to hire Doc Rivers and bring him on. He's like, that guy has gotten more jobs off of really just lucking into one NBA title when he was coaching the Celtics than anyone. And I was like, you're not wrong. I liked the hire, but I can see his points too. I mean, the guy. It's not like the guy is Phil Jackson.
No, he's not. He's
repeats
overrated.
or with one team after another. So,
Mm-mm.
but yeah, you're right. He could. Coach Cal could be.
Yeah, Coach Cal. I think so. Look at the players he had. He's a great recruiter.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that away from him, but he's not a good X's and O guy. Who you had? DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall. Look at all Anthony Davis, Derrick Rose.
Yep. Yeah.
All these guys, Jamal Murray. Like he had talented guys, and he only has one championship.
But here's I think one of his problems too, though, is he's perfected the whole one and done thing. I mean, he was kind of the first one that embraced those kinds of players. Like, hey, you only want to play 1 year? Come and play for me. Well, how do you create a dynasty that way? How do you can't create a Duke or North Carolina, or I mean, even going back to like Georgetown with John Thompson when he had Patrick Ewing and all those guys. I mean, like you can't create that if you're basically going after the guys that, hey, I only want to play for 1 year and I'm going to the NBA. Which is fine.
Like Reed Shepherd, I don't think he's come back to Kentucky. He's going to the NBA.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, Charles, let's get to you. And then, I know you had said coming on the show that you were a little upset because Arizona, or I should say Clemson, kind of busted your bracket at this point.
Absolutely.
Okay. So do you have any championship team or any teams that you picked to be in the finals?
My two finals teams I have left right now. Going into the Sweet 16,
okay.
I had 10 out of 16 teams still in it. That looks like that's going to drop really fast though. But I had Arizona up against UConn in the Final Four, and so that's trashed that whole side of the bracket. I mean, hope UConn will still be there. It's tough. And then I wanted to get a little crazy with it, so I actually had Wisconsin and Tennessee on the other side of the bracket in the Final Four. Yeah. Hey man, the way the tourney's gone the last 3 years, why not?
Sure.
So I've got Tennessee and I've got UConn left, and I'm sure I'll have a couple of teams that get into the Elite Eight. But man, it's been such an exciting tournament though. I've just enjoyed watching it. I don't watch like college. I don't catch every college basketball game or anything. If I'm got the TV on and like the Hoosiers or something are on, or like UConn or Duke or something, I'll catch some of the game. I pay more attention to just the scoreboards really and all. But man, it's just been so much fun. I love the tourney.
And I do feel like sometimes it's almost better. Like I enjoy the tournament more when the teams I pick are out. Like if they get upset, then it's like now I can just enjoy games. Like I don't have to sit there and not that I ever have a ton of money on. It's not like I'm throwing $1,000 on a bracket. It's like $5 here, $5 there, whatever. So it's not a huge deal. But I just feel like when I don't have anything to lose, or when or I should say I don't have anything to win. It's just I feel like I can sit down. Kind of the NFL is the same way. When the Packers are not playing, I feel like I can enjoy it and just relax and enjoy good I just want good football games. That's all I want. So anyway, okay. Well, and Brian, I don't know if did I ask you, did you do any brackets or anything for the college football or college basketball?
I always do one where I have Duke winning it all. I can't help but do that. I think in the other one I had Purdue and Auburn in the final, and that hasn't worked out so well. But But I always have one where I have Duke winning. I just can't. I can't help but have Duke winning one.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Okay, so now what we had kind of talked about to begin with, let's go into a sport that is starting today officially. I know there were a couple games. What was it last?
I agree with you. It's officially today, not that other nonsense.
Exactly. So let's see. We're gonna start with some of the top storylines that you guys see coming into this Major League Baseball season. I think we've probably beaten the whole Ohtani gambling thing to death. I know, Charles, I know you guys talked about it last week on last week's show. I mean, we can touch on it certainly because obviously DJ and Brian have not been on the show if they want to give their 2 cents. So why don't we start there? But then I'm going to just kind of shut up and let you guys give me your opinions on what are some other good storylines, coming into the season. But Brian, let's start with you. The whole Ohtani thing. What are your thoughts on? Was he gambling? Is he just a guy who doesn't pay attention to his finance? Because I know for me, if $45 is missing from my checking account, I'm wondering where the hell it is. Apparently, he doesn't care about 4.5 million. But what are your thoughts?
I equated it to, so he's still making $65 million this year.
Sure.
But imagine if you made $65,000 and $5,000 was missing from your bank account. Yeah. You'd notice that real quick. I don't care how much money you make, you notice that amount of chunk of change missing.
Oh, sure.
Do I think he was gambling? Absolutely. Do I think it'll come back that they find him guilty of it? Absolutely not. He makes too much money for baseball. I personally think it's going to come back on his translator. His translator is going to do his time in prison, and magically $10 million is going to be in that guy's account when he gets out. I just, they're not going to be able to pin it to Ohtani. And if they are able to find a way, they'll find a way out of it. I've also heard the rumor that the whole reason he took the deferred money, or his agent took the deferred money, was so he wouldn't have money to gamble. And his agent knew that was going on. So he's like, hey, like, $2 million a year, that's it. Where there's a will, there's a way. He'll figure it out. But I mean, I don't think anything's going to come of it other than maybe his translator ending up in jail. That's pretty much it.
DJ, how about you? Is that you?
Same thing. He's going to piggyback what Brian said. Yeah, I agree. His translator is the fall guy.
Yeah,
he's the fall guy. Nothing's going to happen to Ohtani. He's the face of the MLB. The MLB is trying to, get popular like the NFL or the NBA. So they have their guy. They don't want him to go away and then the sport just suffers. So they want Ohtani to be there. So no matter what, the translator, his former translator, is going to take the fall for it. He's going to go to prison. He's going to, and I agree. I agree. I think Ohtani knew about the money. Your bank will call you when something's missing. They'll let you know. So he knew about it. So, do I think he gambled on baseball? No, I don't think he gambled on baseball, because he gambled on baseball, then they had no choice. They're gonna punish him. But did he gamble? Yeah, but I don't think he gambled on baseball. But he did know about the money and about the money being taken. Him not knowing and him being a victim of theft, I don't believe none of that nonsense. He knew about it, but his former translator is gonna have to take the fall for it.
Charles, I know you guys talked about it last week, but has your mind changed at all over the last week?
No, I'm actually on the other side of the fence about this. And last week when we talked about it, I think everyone was pretty much under the general consensus that at that point we were undecided. It was very fresh what was going on. We were still we were in the midst of having these two stories come in. As far as the facts and stuff, nothing yet really has changed. Everybody's trying to grasp at anything they can to add to this story. So a lot of people have talked to other people that know Shohei. In particular, a lot of the Angels players have been talked to by people and interviewed by people and asked questions and stuff. And here's the thing. The general consensus from most of the players that they've talked about who know him well, it's the same thing. The guy isn't interested in other sports, apparently. That, just from people who know him and stuff, it's not his thing.
Sure.
Other sports and all. As far as the money thing, the interpreter was not just his interpreter. It was also, he was his personal assistant and one of his best friends. A lot of these guys are not on our level. A lot of these guys, man, they have no idea what's in their bank account. There's a ton of guys out there playing major league sports, making millions of dollars, actors making millions of dollars and stuff, don't have a clue what's in their bank account. They pay other people to take care of that for them. Yeah. So do I feel it's reasonable to think that that he may not have known that 4.5 when he's making so much from here, so much from here, so much from here. He's got, another 20 million coming in from sponsorships and stuff like that and all. So it's I can believe that. The stories, I think that he did know about the dude gambling. And I think that he's This was one of his best friends. I think he said, you
Yeah.
know what, dog, I got you. I do think that all happened. But I think that this interpreter, I think this guy's been manipulating him from the get-go and manipulating us. Who knows what this guy's really saying and asking him and stuff in interviews and things like that. And all that's the whole thing. The whole thing with the first story that came out to the second story. They were still using him as the damn translator.
Yep.
He could turn around and look at these guys and be like, oh, yeah, he knew about it the whole time. Yeah, this is him telling you guys right now. He knew about it. Everything's kosher. This is how it happened. He's got my back. We don't know if Shohei actually said that or not.
That's the scary thing about that.
You know?
Yeah.
I think he knew. I don't think he gambles.
Okay.
But
all right.
The thing about it is that if he did know, there is a federal law that he broke. But there's not a Major League Baseball rule that he technically broke.
Sure. Well, yeah, that's the thing, because it's if his like if he didn't bet on baseball, I suppose he really didn't.
No.
You know, he didn't break any rules. So
unless baseball says you can't gamble at all.
No, they don't. You can gamble on any
I was
sport.
going to say, I think you're allowed to gamble.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But unless they had a rule like in that fashion, then that'll be different. But if they don't, then yeah.
Okay. So let's move on then to the other top storylines. So, Charles, why don't we start with you this time, since we started last time with Brian? Give us a couple. I know you got 3 pages of notes, he said. So, why don't you give us a couple, so that DJ and Brian don't have to wait like a half hour to answer or anything like that.
As far as major storylines, I mean, I think a lot of the Shohei thing has been the biggest thing. So I want to key on 2 just little storylines that I like, that I actually think one of them is Holiday sent down to the minors. This guy this is a rookie of the year candidate. Like, he should be starting. He should be, if nothing else, he should at least be on the bench opening day. I feel like this is a contract move. I really do, because we see that all the time in baseball. But when will we see little Holiday come up and bat? This kid's supposed to be absolutely incredible. So I think that's a really cool storyline. We'll find out. We'll see what the Orioles do with that. I mean, and then, a lot of changes, a lot of trades and everything. So I think can Juan Soto, might be a little, some people might consider this a big one. Can Juan Soto produce in the Yankees? Does he make them back into a playoff contender? It was rough going to start for him in San Diego. He pulled it around through the season, though, and looked pretty good. Can he come out here and be Juan Soto? Can he be like an MVP, in the running kind of player for the Yankees? So I'm going to be following that story as well. And Tim Anderson Jr., we'll see if he can make a comeback after having basically the worst career, the worst year of his career last season. A staple in that offense, a guy that people in Chicago have absolutely, loved. And then, he gets traded. He's with the Marlins. He had some crazy stuff going on,
Yeah.
I didn't throw the man's dirty laundry out or nothing, but there was some personal stuff going on and all that he was dealing with mentally. And I think there's enough time has gone by that he's probably over that, what's going on in his personal life and stuff like that. And I think it was just a mental thing for him. So, seeing him make a comeback is a cool little storyline too to watch, just from, what all he went through last year with the injury and the personal relationship stuff and things like that.
Okay. And Troy mentions Acuna 50-50. Is that, you think that's a possibility?
That's going to happen. If Acuna says this is what I want to do, as long as he stays healthy, that kid is going to do it.
Okay. All right. DJ, how about you? What are some storylines you want to look at? Now, I know you're in New York. Are you a Yankees or Mets fan, or
Yankee fan.
Yankee fan. Okay, so do you think Juan Soto is gonna put up the numbers and help the Yankees, get back into a championship contender?
I think he'll play well. This is contract year. He's going with that money. He's off to usually plays in that contract year. They ball out. He had a great game today. Hey man, the play of the day at the end, throwing out the runner at home. He's already making an impact. He had their first I think score, the first RBI today. He played really well. So I'm looking forward to that to see how he plays during the course of the season. Especially if Judge gets hurt, he's gonna have more of a responsibility.
Sure.
Judge has a injury history. And outside of New York, a couple of storylines I'm looking forward to. I'm looking to see how the Padres play this year, if they could bounce back. They got a new manager. Bob Melvin's not there no more. It's Mike Schilt. He's a very good manager. I think the Cardinals did him dirty. Tatis is going to be here for a full year. So and they added Dylan Cease. I think they're going to be better. So I think the Padres are going to make the playoffs. I think I'm looking forward to see how they bounce back. And the Angels, I want to see how Ron Washington's a good manager, and Angels just been bad the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I want to see. I know Trout had a home run in his first at bat, but I want to see if he's starting to decline, because I said before the season started, I think he's on the decline now. I don't think he's good anymore. I think he's starting to. His on base percentage is low. He doesn't steal any. I can't remember the last time he had so many stolen bases in the season. So I want to see how that goes, and also Tim Anderson, I want to see if he bounces back, because they gave him a 1-year deal, like a prove-it deal. So if he doesn't play well this year, what happens to his career? So I'm looking forward to see how that goes with his situation in Miami.
Okay. Brian, how about you?
I'm an Orioles fan. I'll state that first of all. I can't believe I'm on a place with a Yankees fan, but I'll let that slide.
I picked the team to go to the World Series. So
I don't even have the Orioles winning their division, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Really? Who you have, Yankees?
The Orioles. They're really going to miss Bradish and Means. They're really going to miss the Mountain. The Batista not being there. Kimbrel's Craig Kimbrel. He can be lights out for a week and then get lit up the next. He's not Felix Batista. And as for Holiday, I don't know. The Orioles are just so deep at infield and outfield positions that
doesn't matter.
I honestly feel that they may hold Holiday back for the year and put him up next year at the end of the year this year and try to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, because they get those extra draft picks. It's dumb for them not to have them on the opening day roster and bring them up in May. It makes no sense. The teams, unless an injury happens, don't get me wrong. But I mean, they still have Kobe Mayo, they have a Connor Norby. They still have a really deep infield that I wouldn't mind seeing them trade and maybe get, some more starting pitching. I like the Rangers again this year. Not only are they good right off the jump, but then they're going to be getting Scherzer back. They're going to be getting DeGrom back. I mean, for the end of the season run push, those guys' arms are going to be fresh. And see what you want about DeGrom. The guy may be made of glass, but I mean, if they can get 12 starts out of the guy, including playoffs, I mean, that makes them the favorites going into that. And then what comes down for me, Yankees can't win every game 9-8. They just can't. Cole's got to be back for them to have a chance. Stroman is a good pitcher. He's not great. Carlos Rodon, if he can actually show up, that'd be great for the Yankees, but he hasn't shown that he can yet. And then after that, I mean, who is Luis Gil and two other guys?
Nestor Cortez.
I forgot about Nasty Nestor.
Today, yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm shaky.
I'm honestly surprised they let Severino walk for, what they did. But I mean, I guess they kind of believed in, in hindsight, if you knew Cole was going down, you wouldn't have let Severino walk, I don't think. Or you may have tried to push a little harder to sign Snell, which I'm not the biggest Snell guy in the world either. And then the other big storyline for me is going to be the central divisions in the American League and the National League. They're both by far the weakest divisions in both NL and AL, which can make for some interesting, exciting baseball. But to project who's going to win those divisions, I could make an argument that every team could win that division, either AL or NL. The Cubs got better, but they didn't. They signed the hitting Blake Snell, which is Cody Bellinger, 2 good years in 7 years. I just, from the Pirates to the Cardinals to the Cubs to the Brewers, I can make an argument for any of them. Same with the AL. I mean, even the Royals, Tigers, they all got better. And the Twins didn't do anything to separate themselves in the AL. So
Troy brings up this question, and this is something that I said I would love. I would love to see the Brewers pick him up just to see how he would be able to do it. Is anyone signing Trevor Bauer this year? Where do you, Charles? Let's just quick yes or no. You think someone's signing him or not? He said he's willing to play for the league veteran minimum or whatever. If
he'll play for the league for the minimum, I think somebody signs him. A couple of pitchers go down. He's pitching apparently lights out. Yep.
DJ, you yes or no?
I think so.
Okay. And Brian, you kind of smirked, you kind of laughed or chuckled a little bit.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. You don't think so?
He still doesn't understand no means no when teams talk, or anybody talks for that matter.
Okay. And then Troy wanted to also mention Angels will be better just because they won't have someone on their team throwing games.
Albert Pujols? Oh no, Otani.
Okay, so let's move on then to let's see.
Oh, with Trout, I really feel that's one thing I wanted to cover. I really feel that people are pulling on Superman's cape with that. Like if Trout puts up, and I know if this big if, especially with his back injuries, but if he's here for 145 games this year, people are going to lose their minds again over him. I think he's one of those guys that when he's healthy, he still is top 5 player in baseball. Maybe Acuna hasn't beat Soto, but I mean, there's not many players better than Mike Trout. And 145 games, Angels could win 80 some games,
I think he's done, and I think he's a little bit overrated, but that's me.
One of the best all-time players.
So let's move on to the predictions for each of the divisions. So Brian will actually DJ will start with you because we haven't started with you recently. AL East predictions. What are your thoughts? Your team's division.
You want me to name who's going to win the division?
And then if you want to just
break it down. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got you. All right. The Red Sox are going to be last. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing in Boston. It does like ownership looks like they're not trying to win games. And they gave Rafael Devers a contract. Now he's stuck there, and he wants them to make moves, but he signed a contract there knowing that they're not going to do anything. So I don't know what's going up. I don't know what's going on there. They have no starting pitching. They're a mess. So the Red Sox are finishing last. 4th place in that division, I have either the Rays or the Blue Jays. The thing with the Blue Jays is they have talent, but you just can't trust them to win a playoff series unless they have to fire their manager and have a whole different culture there because they're a disappointment. I mean, Vlad had a down year last year. The starting pitcher was Alex Manoah.
Manoah, yeah.
Yeah, he was terrible. They said it was because it was the pitch clock he couldn't adjust, but he wasn't pitching well in spring training this year either. So I don't know what's going on with him. That team, they have talent, but you just can't trust them. The Rays, I think the Rays has too much injuries to their starting rotation. Shane McClanahan is going to be out for the year. So even though the Rays, they find a way to make it happen with the payroll that they have. And they have a really smart owner. But this might just be the year they just can't overcome the injuries.
Sure.
So I think that they'll finish in 3rd. I think the Yankees are going to finish 2nd. Outside of Garrett Cole like this, I still don't trust their starting pitching. Marcus Stroman is good, not great, and he's not good in Yankee Stadium. Because when he was visiting the Yankees and playing against the Yankees, he was struggling in Yankee Stadium. So he's not good at pitching in that ballpark. And the Yankees don't have a leadoff hitter.
Okay.
The only time they have a leadoff hitter is if Trent Grisham plays when he plays. I'll take him as a leadoff hitter over DJ LeMahieu because LeMahieu's not a leadoff hitter. And Volpe was doing well as a leadoff hitter last year, but he stopped drawing walks. So they moved him down lower in the lineup. So I had them 2nd. And then the Orioles, I had them 1st. You saw what they did to the Angels today. I know it's the Angels, but they're going to do that to a lot of teams. They're fun. They're young. They have Corbin Burns. That's probably the move of the offseason. He came here and just like he just balled out. Like felt like he was playing in Baltimore for 5 years. He dominated the Angels.
Yeah.
So I think the Orioles are going to win that division. I think that they have too much versatility, too much good base running, good defense, starting pitching. They get home runs. They're the best team in that division.
So now, are you picking though the Yankees to at least make the wild card? Are they in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, I thought I was saying that. I thought we was doing wild cards, but yeah, I had the Yankees making the playoffs as a wild card. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, kind of throw. I mean, if So when we're doing this, we'll take your division winner, and then if there's another team in that division that's going to be a wild card, just kind of mention that. So
okay,
Brian,
Yankees win the wild card.
Gotcha. Okay, so Brian, AL East, what are your thoughts?
We'll agree on the Red Sox and Blue Jays. I just don't see either of them being real contenders. And like you were saying, Blue Jays getting their own way. On paper, they have probably one of the best teams in the division, and then they just can't win. They're wasting Kevin Gausman. They're wasting Bo Bichette. They're wasting Vlad Guerrero. Third, I'm going to have the Yankees. Second, I'm going to have the Orioles. And first, I'm going to have Tampa Bay. I don't like it, but they always end up winning somehow. And I don't understand it. They're getting Jeffrey Springs back around the All-Star break, which will help them. But I can't explain how they keep winning every year, but they do it. And I know not to count against them. So from that division, I'm going to have the Orioles and Rays, Orioles being the wild card, Rays being the division winner.
Okay. Charles, how about you?
So the AL East, I've got Baltimore on top of this division for sure. They're the top offense and the top pitching staff in this division. And you could make an argument across the entire American League as well. I do like the Yankees to get a wild card. They're going to be in there. Here's what I think. So Soto and Judge, I expect them both, if Judge can stay healthy, to have really big years. And I also think that Rizzo and Volpe are going to play at the top of their game, at least getting midway through the season. So I think they're going to make a run of it. I just don't think they'll be able to catch Baltimore at the end. It's really going to depend on like he was saying, the Yankees pitching staff. We'll see what they do with that. I mean, because you're going to see Baltimore, you're going to be playing against them. Their offense is just absolutely incredible. I mean, these dudes, they've got a great infield as far as hitters and all. Don't sleep on Mountcastle. He was kind of up and down a little bit last season, but that dude's a slugger. He puts it together, man. He can be hot and cold, but if he gets hot a lot, that's really going to help that offense as well. So it'll be a good battle with Baltimore. I think it's just going to run away with it at the end. I think Tampa Bay, they always have a shot to get to the playoffs. I don't know if you guys have, followed, or anything, but what's going on with Wander. But he's been put on administrative leave today. And the charges and everything that he was going through have actually been changed to stuff that's way, way less severe. And there's still stuff. So there's an open door for him to come back if all of that works itself out. Yandy popped one over the fence today. He's going to be a catalyst for that offense. I know he's getting up there in age just a little bit, but he was stellar last season, and I expect that to continue for Tampa Bay. I don't like that they let Luke Raley go. He's on the Mariners now. That was a good position piece kind of guy who can fill in for some offense, especially when Yandy got suffered some injuries last season. So I think they're going to miss him a little bit, but they might contend. Toronto and Boston, look, the Red Sox suck. It's just the way it is. They suck. They're not going to do anything, and we're all going to laugh at them every time they come and play our teams. It's going to be great. Toronto, man, they're building. They've got some cornerstone pieces, but they're still building some. You just cannot depend on their pitching staff at all. So, I'm going to put them over Boston because, the Red Sox suck. So I'll put them right there in the fourth spot for that. But it's Baltimore and seriously, I feel like the Yankees are the only wild card team coming out of this one.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. And then we see here, Troy gave Orioles winning the division with the Rays as a wild card. And then our boy Brandon Combs had picked the Orioles too. So I want to mention that so that we can at least go back to the show and, hold people accountable here for their predictions. So, all right, Charles, why don't we stick with you? AL Central. Give us your predictions for that division.
Okay, so for me, this is the hardest one to pick. And
Okay.
I feel like I feel like Cleveland ends up getting this one, but it's going to be Minnesota or Cleveland. I think they're going to be right there. I don't think either of them. I mean, it's possible that a team from here gets a wild card. When I look at the AL West, they're so loaded that they're going to just fill the playoffs, I think, almost. But Cleveland, Minnesota, Detroit. I don't trust their pitching. I really, really like their offense. I think Spencer Torkelson is going to have a big bat this year. I'm really looking for Riley Green to have a breakout season. I think he's a good one to keep an eye on. He didn't fare so well today, but that's just growing pains. But their pitching is so suspect. KC, I mean, they've got a possible Cy Young candidate, and they've got Bobby Witt Jr., but do they really have anything else? I mean, as exciting as Bobby is, and maybe one of the best young players in the game today, they don't have anything to back it up. And they got Reagan, and what did he strike out, like 9 guys today, 11 guys, something crazy. I think it was 9 guys. He could be a Cy Young pitcher, but other than that, so I got them just above the White Sox, who are rebuilding for like the 7th year in a row. So they're just going to kind of hang at the bottom. They've got a couple of studs, but they don't know. They're just there right now. But I give it to Cleveland, just a slight edge to Minnesota, basically because I think J-Ram will carry them.
Okay. I'll show real quick. Twins. Troy picks the Twins for that one, and so did Brandon. So DJ, how about your thoughts on the AL Central?
All right, the White Sox, they had their chance a couple of years ago. When people picked them, including myself, to go to the World Series, and then they've just been a disappointment. And then last year they were supposed to go to the playoffs. They were a disappointment, so they got rid of some people. No more Tim Anderson, no more Dylan Cease. So they're in complete rebuild mode. So they're gonna finish last in that division. The Tigers, I think they're going to finish in 4th place.
Okay.
I know this is hype about their prospects coming up, but I got to see it to believe it. You can't tell me a team that's been losing 100-something games every year is going to magically fight for a playoff spot. Nah, I'm not buying it. So the Tigers will finish in 4th. They might be a little bit better because of the prospects and be better than the White Sox, but they're not making the playoffs. I'm not buying it. 3rd, I think it's going to be. Damn, I might pick the Guardians to be 3rd because I think they're gonna miss. One of the underrated things about this team is Terry Francona. He's gonna be missed. He's like one of those few managers that can make a difference in baseball. Because you see, like when he had his health issues and he wasn't there, the teams didn't perform the same. And then when he was there, they played better. So they're gonna miss him. And he's one of the best managers. He was one of the best managers in the league, one of the best managers of all time. So and the Guardians, they can't score. The offense is challenged. They just don't hit the ball. They don't score. So I'm gonna put them 3rd. They could pitch, good starting pitching, good bullpen. But they can't score. They have no offense. And I'll put the Royals 2nd. I think the Royals will be better. I like the moves that they made in the offseason. Bobby Jr. is a stud. He's a franchise player, but I don't think they're ready yet to win the division. And I'm gonna go with the Twins to win the Central. They eliminated the Blue Jays last year. They got out the 1st round finally, and they gave the Astros a battle last year in the playoffs. Carlos Correa, he used to play for the Astros. He has a lot of playoff experience. I like Lewis, the 3rd baseman. He's really good. They have a really good bullpen. A couple of starting pitchers in their rotation. They're the best team in that division. They might not be great, but in that division, they're better than the other teams. So I think they'll win the division again.
Sure. Okay, Brian, how about you?
All right. So I'm going to, of course, have the White Sox as the last place team. And then I believe 5 games is really going to separate 1st from 4th in that division. It's going to be a packed, tight division. I'm actually going to go the Royals, then Cleveland, then Detroit, then Minnesota. I feel Detroit's almost building what Baltimore did, where they have a good young core And then they have good young pitching and Skubal, Manning, Mize, and bring it with Flaherty. I believe they signed like they brought along enough veterans to go with their youth. I think Detroit's going to make some noise, but I could see the Twins winning 86 games and Cleveland winning 81 games. And the other two teams just falling in between there. So I feel it's a coin flip between those four teams, and then of course the White Sox winning probably 60 games. So.
Well, and I was gonna ask that because one of the jokes that I've been hearing from a lot of baseball experts over the last month or so when they're doing their predictions is that the AL Central may have a division winner that doesn't even finish 500. So I was going to ask, okay, you said 86 wins, maybe or something like that. Charles or DJ, either one of you think that this team, the division winner might not even win, 81 games, or do you think they will?
I can believe that.
Yeah.
Probably would be the Twins. They'll probably barely be over 500.
Yeah.
They'll probably be 82 and 80, 83 and 79.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. And everybody else wins under the 80 total. So I can see that happening.
Okay. All right. Well, now, Brian, since we ended with you here, let's start with you. Come back here with the AL West. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, I'm going to have the A's win. No, I'm just kidding. The A's are god awful. They may be the only team worse than the White Sox. But I'm going to have Oakland, of course, in dead last, and Mike Trout's going to thank them for being in the same division because I'll have the Angels in fourth. And then I'm going to have Houston in third, Seattle in second, and Texas winning the division. I just feel Houston they've had their time, and I think they still have a very good team. I have them as a wild card team as well as Seattle. But I think their pitching is going to be really hindered for them this year. If they're not winning going into the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, they're going to have a tough time winning games.
Okay. All right. Now, so we'll come back. DJ, what are your predictions for the AL West?
All right. The A's, they're not a real baseball team. They got their mind on Vegas.
I was going to say, hold on, but I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Say it there. Go ahead.
Are they still planning on moving to Vegas, or what is? I haven't heard. I know they talked about it all last year. But I wasn't sure if that had ever actually been finalized or not. What are the plans?
Yeah, they're going to Vegas. They're not going to be in Oakland. Their lease is going to be up, I think, after this season.
Well, okay, all right.
I don't know what. I don't know if they're going to play in Siberia. I don't know where they're going to play.
What's funny is when you mentioned that when you both of you guys, I'll just trash the A's. It reminded me of Charles's comment earlier when he talked about the Red Sox and how, everyone, all of our teams will be laughing at the Red Sox when they come to play them. Mm-hmm. I felt like that last year when the A's came to AmFam Field to play the Brewers, and the fucking Brewers ended up getting swept by them. So, let's not laugh too much here. I mean, I know it didn't end up meaning anything because the Brewers still won the division, but I can't remember if it was a 3-game or a 4-game series, but the Brewers looked so bad. And I think when the A's came in, they had almost as many wins, like total for the season, as they got against the Brewers for that series. I mean, I think they only had like maybe 7 wins, and they ended up getting 3 or 4 against the Brewers. So anyway, I'm sorry, DJ. Go ahead.
No worries.
Yeah, give your predictions here.
Yeah, the A's they're gonna be bad. 4th place in that division, I have the Angels. The Angels, Ron Washington, I respect the hell out of him. He's a really good manager, but I feel sorry for him because look at the team he's managing. The team is just not good outside of Trout, and I think Trout's declining. I think he's a little bit overrated. I don't. The Angels, they have nothing. They're not as bad as the A's. The A's is the worst team in the league. But the Angels, they're gonna be another bad season. 3rd place, I have the Mariners, but I have them as a wild card.
Okay.
I had them as the last wild card team in the AL. They have a really good starting rotation led by Luis Castillo. Julio Rodriguez is a stud. He has a good supporting cast. So Mariners are that team that no one really. They're not a national team that people talk about like the Dodgers and stuff like that. But they have a low key good team, and they can sneak up and beat. They could beat some good teams on any given night. But they're out in Seattle, so they don't really get the recognition like the other teams. But I think they're going to be a wild card team. Second place in that division, I think is going to be the Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to go back to the playoffs. Bruce Bochy's he's a terrific manager. He's a top 10 manager of all time. Look what he did. He went to his first year managing the team, got them to win the World Series. So when Scherzer and DeGrom gets healthy, who knows what's going to happen? And then lineup is good. They're playing extra innings right now against the Cubs. Like the Cubs were battling them, dominating them the whole time, and then they come back and send the game to extra innings. So they got a lot of talented players on there. They're going to be a wild card team. And then I have the Astros winning the division until somebody knocks them off. There's too much experience. Doesn't matter who the manager is. Doesn't matter if it's AJ Hinch, Dusty Baker, Joe Espada. They're still going to be the Astros. They have like a bunch of MVP candidates on their team. Sometimes Altuve doesn't have to do anything and they still win games. So how are you going to beat them when your best player does nothing and you still win games? So they're going to win the division.
Okay. Before we go to Charles here, we got Troy picked Texas to win the division, Houston and Seattle to be wild card. So pretty much, we're seeing 3 playoff teams coming from this 5-team division. So Charles, what are your thoughts here?
Oh man, Troy distracted me with his last comment there. We were talking about.
Well, yeah, let's hold on. Let me show it, because now for everybody that doesn't watch the show on a regular basis, Charles and Troy are kind of our 2 in-house Braves fans, so that's why Charles finds it so humorous too. So he looked beautiful in left field for the.
He had a chance to leave. He had a chance to leave.
Dream
a couple of years ago.
So I love the AL West this year. It's going to be the most fun division to watch, I think, other than the NL East. It's so top heavy, and when I say top heavy, I mean you've got 3 like serious contenders sitting on top of just what is right now just 2 jokes of a team. I mean, the Athletics have been a joke of a team for forever. But talking about the Vegas thing and all, if you haven't checked it out yet, check out the photos or the pictures of the stadium, the proposed stadium that they want to use. It's modeled after the Sydney Opera House, and it is freaking phenomenal looking. Like I saw that.
That would be Vegas.
Like, if they build
something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be a stadium to see a ball game in. Seriously, it is very cool looking. But yeah, Oakland at the very, very bottom. Unfortunately, the Angels have got they got Trout, and he's gonna have, if he's healthy, I think he's gonna have a really good season because he is one of the better players to ever play the game, especially in the modern ball era. He's one of the best. And just absolutely, even on the tail end of his career, he's still going to be better this season than half the guys out there for sure. I've got Texas with a little hangover. They're going to make the wild card. They're going to be the 3rd team in this division, and the 2nd team from this division, the Rangers, will be to get into the wild card. They got a great team. They really do. I just think they're gonna have that little bit of hangover, and they've got some really, really tough competition. Houston, I got Houston pulling 2nd place in this division. I like Houston. They're like a perennial contender at this point. They've got some good guys, some great pitching, but it's the Mariners, man. It's Seattle. This is my little almost like sleeper pick to possibly win it all. When I look at the Mariners, I see what is possibly the best starting rotation in baseball. I've said this many times. You can have the top guy, the top pitcher in baseball, but if your next 4 guys are in the bottom half of pitching, you don't have a good rotation. If you've got 5 guys that are all between 15 and 40, in the rankings, that is a damn good rotation. And Casio's not even going to be the best pitcher on his team this year. He's going to be the 3rd best pitcher. Kirby is freaking phenomenal, and he's continuing to put it together. He's going to continue to grow on what he did last year. He's going to eclipse that 200 strikeout mark this year. Gilbert's going to put it together. If both of those guys put it completely together, this rotation is unstoppable. And then you've got Miller on the back end too, who could be sneaky good. It's a scary, scary rotation for any offense to face. Going through a series, I just see it. This is how you make the playoffs and win your division. You don't win all the games, you win all the series. And Seattle has an opportunity. Their offense, they've got Garver. He is a really good catcher. He's a really good defensive catcher, and he's got a pretty good bat. So I like that. They brought back Polanco as well as Henniger. Two crowd favorites. Those guys, some veteran presence. Those guys are good. Polanco, he can play second or third. He's a good player, a good bat. They've got France. They've got enough offense to support these pitchers. Their rotation or their bullpen was already really good, arguably one of the best last season. If they continue with that, they have it all put together to take this division and make a very strong run in the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah. And just to mention, I was going to mention it before, but I thought I'd let you. I didn't want Brandon Combs to steal your thunder there, Charles, because he also picked the Mariners to win that division. So
yeah,
I wanted to at least give you a chance to predict it first. So
Brandon and I think, are on a very same page about a couple of these teams.
Are you? Okay. All right. So now we'll go to the National League. We'll do NL East, and DJ, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the probably the strongest division in the National League?
I'm going to pick the Nationals to go last in the division.
Okay.
I still think they're rebuilding. It's going to be a while before they become a playoff team. Fourth place in that division, I'm going to pick the Mets to finish fourth.
Okay.
You can't win with that starting rotation. They have no starting pitching. Once Singer went down, and Singer's I don't even consider him an ace. I consider him more of a 2, maybe a 3. But you're not going to win you're not going to win any games with that pitching. You'd be lucky if they go 5 innings. You got to pray that they go 5 innings. They might have their moments every now and then, but their star rotation is bad, and they got the Pete Alonso situation. Like, he's going to be a free agent. Like, you're going to pay him or not, because even though Steve Cohen has money, he didn't bring back. He got rid of Verlander and Scherzer. He didn't bring them back to and they needed those guys to come back. They didn't have no starting pitching. He let them go. So you got that to deal with. Their bullpen, I don't think is good. I think only thing good about it is Edwin Diaz. He's come back with the injury. So I don't think the Mets are going to be that good this year. I think they're going to be finishing fourth. Third, I got the Marlins. They went to the playoffs last year. I think they'll still be okay. I have questions about Tim Anderson to see where his mind is right now. I like the move to put Chaz Chisholm out in the outfield and center field. I think he feels comfortable there. He's a really good athlete, so I think he could play a lot of positions. I have them finishing third. Second in the division, I have the Phillies. The Phillies is just if the Braves were in their division, I'll pick them to win the division, because the Phillies are a team. If you put them in the AL Central, they'll win the division in roller skates. They'll win the division. The Phillies are that good, but they're in the same division as the Braves, so I had to put them second. But playoff time, they're dangerous. I could pick the Phillies to win a series, but this is just for the regular season. I'll pick them to win. I'm pick them to finish second, and then I'm gonna pick the Braves to win the division. Just too much talent all over the place. Acuna is an MVP candidate. You got Matt Olson. You got a good star rotation with Strider and Fried. Talent all over the place. I think they'll win the NL East.
Okay.
So I got the NL East division, the Braves, and I got the Phillies making it as a wild card.
All right. Okay. Brian, how about you?
Pretty much almost exactly the same. I have the Nats, of course, in last place. When Patrick Corbin's in your starting rotation, you're not going to be above a 5th place team in your division. Just not going to happen. Marlins, it kind of depends on Yuri Perez. If Yuri Perez needs Tommy John, which I haven't heard if he's going to need it or not yet, or if they're still out and they're just but if he's not coming back for them, I don't think Luzardo has enough to carry them higher than a 4th place finish. The Mets are going to do Mets things, whether they have the best team on paper in baseball or the worst team on paper in baseball, they'll just let their fans down. And then you're going to have the Phillies in 2nd place and the Braves, of course, winning the division. I really wanted to say the Braves in 5th place just to get Troy's attention, but everybody knew I'd be lying about that. Acuna, I mean, the Braves speak for themselves. Having Matt Olson, Acuna, Ozzie Albies, they're the class of the NL East until playoffs hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the Phillies as a wild card team. So
Okay. All right. So yeah, and Troy's got obviously the Braves win the division, then Phillies and the Marlins both going in the coming out of that division as wild cards. So Charles, I mean I think we all know who you're picking to win it, but why don't you give us your or oh, God.
I'll be buying a new one of these at the end of the season, guys.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we don't have to ask you your World Series winner.
Absolutely. So okay. I by the records, you know, I feel like Washington probably deserves to be last on the list here of my rankings, but pardon my French, but fuck the Mets. So they're last. Okay? That's how it is in this house. The Mets are always last. They're worse than the Red Sox. So yeah, so they're going to be last because they'll find a way to F the season up because that's what Mets do. Why they still pay players that have been retired for 20 years. And then I've got Miami. Miami's going to be right smack in the middle of this division. I think they're sneaky. I like Chisholm to get control of some of the injuries, and maybe if he stops talking so much and focuses a little bit more on baseball, I think he could have a really good breakout season. He's kind of just been on the cusp of it, you know, but just can't quite put it together. If he does that, that's going to help the Marlins a lot. Tim Anderson, I think that is a great signing for them, you know, for a shortstop. I think he's going to bounce back, maybe a comeback candidate. So, you know, they're sneaky. We'll see how their pitching does. Their start, you know, they're going to start the season with something like, I think they've got 4 pitchers on the IL right now. So they're going to have to play catch up if they want to stay in the wild card race, but they could probably do it. Philly's going to be in second. They are definitely going to be a wild card team. They're not going to make it out of the first round of the playoffs, but they are going to be a wild card team. They've got a good offense and they've got great pitching, but they're behind them Bravos. I don't care what you want to say about any team on the West Coast. The Bravos do have the #1 offense in baseball. They are stacked from top to bottom. All 9 guys and then some can hit. And that's all they're going to do all season long. And seriously, if the pitching, if everybody's on it, you've got maybe the Cy Young winner for the National League on there. If Sale, you know, gets off to a hot start, keeps going and stays healthy, then it's going to be a dangerous rotation. The only thing that's suspect is the bullpen, but it's suspect every year, and every year it ends up being greatness by the end of the season. So I'm not even worried.
All right. So why don't you bring it back? Let's do the NL Central.
Oh, this is a fun division too. Because man, look, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Chicago, any of these guys could win this division. I mean, we can all pretty much rule out Milwaukee and St. Louis. I got 3 pages of notes. I wrote down something from Milwaukee and St. Louis. Oh, yeah. They both suck. That's what it is. They don't suck as teams in a whole, but this year, yeah, they kind of do. They're both rebuilding. They don't have a contending lineup in them, neither of them. So I feel like they're pretty much out of the picture. I'm going to start with who's on top. I've got Cincinnati taking this division. I really do. They've got some hot young studs. They've got a lot of fast young talent. They've been building something. They've got some pitchers. Look, Montas looked good. Montas Jr. looked good today. If he looks like that this season, it's going to be dangerous. Hunter Green, huge sleeper to be one of the top pitchers in the National League this year. You know, Graham Ashcraft, if he can keep his stuff and keep his location, he is dangerous when he is on. He's got some mental stuff, I think, that he was working through, you know, as far as when it comes to pitching. You know, we see younger guys and stuff have those kinds of things. As you get older, a lot of times pitchers get a lot better. So, you know, if he continues to grow, this is a very dangerous rotation. They do have one of the best closers in the National League, a very, very good closer. And then, of course, Ellie De La Cruz, baby. This guy's a superstar. He is fun to watch. If nothing else, he's going to make most Cincinnati Reds games fun to watch. This guy is going to topple his numbers from last year. I'm telling you, those numbers, he had good numbers for the amount of games that he played. Those numbers are going to be inflated. This is going to be a fierce, fast, young, fun offense. They're going to take it. Pittsburgh, is going to make it really tough on them. So are the Cubs. O'Neal Cruz already hit a dinger out of the park today. He's back from that injury, it looks like. That's one of the most exciting athletes in the league. They have great pitching. They can contend with all of the teams in this division. So, Pittsburgh's got a really good chance to make something happen. And then Chicago, not a whole bunch of changes, really effective changes, I don't feel, in the offseason, but they were already a pretty good team. They've got Dansby and Bellinger. And if Happ can stay healthy, he's a really good bat. Nico's a really good infielder who's got some pop. He could be an effective player for the offense in a number of ways. And then you got Seiya Suzuki as well. We saw flashes. We saw flashes of a really good player, and then we saw just kind of your average MLB player out of him. So we'll see if he trends up or if he's kind of what he is, just kind of streaky. But if they all put it together, then it's a team that can contend. But I just don't feel like the Cubs did enough in the offseason to really take over this division this year. There's too much in front of them with the young talent with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
Okay. DJ, what are your thoughts on this division?
All right, I got the Brewers finishing last. I think when they traded Corbin Burns, I think this is just a rebuilding year. I think I can't put them ahead of the Pirates, which will have the Pirates fourth. The Pirates have been so bad for so long, but I think the Pirates are going to be a little bit better with Neil Cruz, but they're still not good either. So I got them fourth. Third, I have the Cardinals. I think they should fire Oliver Marmol. He's not a good manager. Hire Yadi Molina or something to be their manager because they have pieces on the team, but their starting pitching is up and down, and I don't think he's a good manager. I think the Cardinals are going to move on from him at the end of the season. So I got them finishing third.
Okay.
Second, I got the Cubs finishing second. They have Bellinger. They have a couple of other pieces. They got a decent starting rotation. They're a good team, but I don't think they're a great team. And then to win the division, I got the Reds. I think I picked the Reds to go far this year. They're my sleeper team, under the radar team that's gonna be that hot team that goes on a run in the playoffs. I can see it happening. They almost made the playoffs last year. De La Cruz, he may not be the best player in the league, but he's the most fun to watch. He's the most fun. He steals home. He'll turn a single to a triple. He has a laser for an arm. The Reds are they're just excited. They're on a come up. Frankie Montas, he sucked here on the Yankees, which I knew was going to happen. I said the minute they got rid of him, I said if he goes to another city, that's what happens in New York. You play here, you can't play well. You go somewhere else, you play well. He was lights out today. I don't care if it's against the Nationals. I think he's going to have other good starts. And the Reds are going to be they're on the radar. They're a sleeper. They're going to win this division.
Okay. All right. How about you, Brian?
Just to capitalize on that once they leave the Yankees, they play well, unless their names are Joey Gallo. He doesn't play well anywhere.
He
0 for 4 with 3 Ks today. I mean,
he's an exception to the rule, but overall, yeah.
They need to change all base to just K percentage for him, and then he'll lead the league in something, All right, so Milwaukee, I have one last place. I hate to say it. Joseph Ortiz and DL Hall will not help them that much this year. Freddie Peralta, unfortunately, is in kind of no man's land. Same with Willie Adames. Yep. I hope that Peralta they won't trade, but Adames they probably will, and I hope he goes somewhere where he can win again. Because he suffered through years of rebuilding now to rebuild again. The one positive of them is they did sign Woodruff to a 2-year deal. So, I mean, that at least gives them him for next year.
Yeah.
I just hope that's the guy that can get healthy again for them. Because he was dominant like Burns when he can pitch.
Yep.
Pittsburgh, I like what they're doing with drafting. Paul Skeens look good. in spring training. Termero Johnson, he's looked really good. He reminds me a lot. He plays a lot like Dustin Pedroia. He's a small guy, but he has a little bit of pop and he has some speed to him. So I like him a lot too. Henry Davis, young catcher outfielder for them. I think they're on the right track to be doing good things. St. Louis, I hate to never, they're kind of like the Rays to me. I just hate to bet against St. Louis. I don't think they're good, but I don't think they're awful. They're gonna need great seasons again from Goldschmidt and Arenado. Jordan Walker's in his second year. Hopefully he can turn it around and have a good year for them. I've also noticed that the Cardinals really don't develop prospects well. I mean, if you think of the last prospect that they brought up that was a superstar, that was a homegrown talent for them, there's not many. Yachty may be the last one for them. I mean, all their superstars are from other teams or trades, and then they go away and trade Zach Gallen and Alcantara and Randy Arozarena. Like those guys got whoever's doing their research on their prospects is not doing a very good job. Cincinnati, I have in second place. I love Cincinnati. Like my Orioles, they're a fun team to watch. Ellie De La Cruz is the most exciting player in baseball. I mean, I love watching Acuna, but there's just something about Ellie that makes him just the most exciting player in baseball to watch right now. And then I have the Cubs winning it. I just feel like they have a more mature team than the Reds do. So that's why I have the Cubs as the winner of that division. I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati won, but I just feel the Cubs have that little bit of maturity above them. I think Cincinnati is going to be a team to be reckoned with in the next 2 years. Like they were talking about Hunter Green. Hunter Green is going to be a fireball, amazing pitcher. And, once he harnesses what he can do, he's like a superhero that just doesn't understand his powers yet. So same with Ellie though, a little bit. I mean, the dude's just, he's a wild horse. He reminds you a lot of Puig, where Puig would just go crazy all the time, and then Puig went really crazy and now nobody talks about it. So.
All right. So Troy picked the Pirates to win the division. Our boy Combs picked his Cubs to win the division. And then he also picked the Braves. I forgot to mention that. I want to give him his give him a little bit of attention there.
Did Howie break into Troy's house and steal his computer? Is that what happened? Because Howie's a Pirates fan. I think that's what happened there.
Oh,
Troy, are you okay?
Well, hopefully Troy responds here. All right. So, Brian, why don't you bring it back with the NL West?
Sure. So last place, I'm going to have Colorado. I think we'll probably unanimously agree with that. I do have Chris Bryant as my comeback player of the year, though. It's eventually going to happen with him, right? I mean, the guy has way too much talent to just play 50 games a year for the last 3 years. So, fourth place, I'm going to have the Padres. I want to see what Dylan Cease does before I believe in him. I know he's in Chicago, which, that sucked it out of Giolito, that sucked it out of Rodon, that sucked it out of Cease. The black hole of Chicago White Sox. But I just don't think San Diego's that good of a team. Last year I projected them to only win 78 games and people called me crazy. I just don't think it's a winning culture there. I think it's a me culture there. I don't think they're a great team. I think they're great players. I think Machado is a surefire Hall of Famer. If you look at his stats next to Adrian Beltre, they're pretty much exactly the same at the same age. In third place, I'm going to have Arizona. Arizona's done Arizona things. I think they're done enough to make the playoffs as a wild card. And I do like the Eduardo Rodriguez signing and the Jordan Montgomery signing for them. So I think they're going to be good. I just think they're still a year or two away from taking over. The Giants, I don't like Blake Snell. I wish I convey how much I think Blake Snell is a bottom tier pitcher that got extremely lucky based on peripherals last year. The guy's had 2 good years in 8, and he barely goes over 5 innings pitched to start for his career. Matt Chapman's going to be okay for them. I like Jung-Ho Lee. I think he's going to be a very good hitter for San Francisco. I think he's built for San Francisco, hitting it into the alleys. So I'm going to take them as my second place team. Also, Logan Webb's a great pitcher. And then first place, I have to take the Dodgers. Much to my chagrin, I'm going to take the Dodgers. But I also have San Francisco and Arizona as wild card teams out of that division.
Okay. All right. And just so you know, Troy, I don't know if you saw the message. Troy is okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did he bump his head or anything? No.
No. He just says, I really like what I'm seeing from the Pirates. So yes, he is okay. And he also picked, before we go to DJ, he also did pick the Dodgers to win the division and then D-backs be the wild card team. So DJ, what are your thoughts on the NL West?
I got the Rockies coming in last place. I know they got Chris Bryant, but it seems like he's been lost out there. Hasn't been the same player since he has been in Chicago, the Cubs. I know somebody had him as an MVP candidate a couple of years ago when he went to the Rockies. That was a disaster. But that team is they're just terrible. So that's an easy one for me. They're last. I'm gonna go with the Giants to be fourth place. I know they signed Blake Snell and they have some good pieces in the starting rotation. I just don't think they could score enough. I know they picked up Jorge Soler for some power, but they don't have no power. They just I don't trust their offense. So I have them fourth. Third place, I have the Diamondbacks. I'm gonna take them seriously. I don't think last year was a fluke. I think they're gonna be hanging around. I have them as a wild card team to go to the playoffs again. I think I love the Jordan Montgomery piece to their rotation because their starting pitching was already good. I think he helps that. So I have them in third. Second place in that division, I have the Padres. I think the Padres are going to bounce back. I think they're going to be a wild card team. I think the culture is going to be different with Mike Shildt as the manager. I think he's a really good manager. He was successful in St. Louis. They didn't do justice by him. No more Juan Soto. I think like the Padres, they don't play as a team. They have talented players, but they don't play together. So I think Mike Shildt is going to change that. Would change the culture there. And now you have a Fernando Tatis who's there on a full year. And I like the Dylan Cease move. Their starting rotation was already good with Musgrove. They still have a lot of talent. They can't miss the playoffs again. Too much talent on that team. So they should be good enough to be a wild card team. So I have them second. And then I have the Dodgers, winning the division. They're always great in the regular season. They were always great before Ohtani was there. So now you have Ohtani there, with his talent. He's not going to pitch this year, but it's still not going to matter because they're loaded all over the place, and they're going to win their 100+ games. They're the best team, regular season wise, in the league. So they're going to win the division.
Sorry there.
Oh,
Charles,
right.
how about you? I've been like muted, so you couldn't hear all the back.
I thought it was me again. I'm like, oh my god, I thought I was looking, nobody can hear me.
I'm going to put DJ on this one. I've got Colorado last. It's the Rockies. They're fun to watch when they're at home because most games are fun to watch at that stadium because my grandmother could knock one out of the park there. I got San Francisco coming in fourth. I like what they're doing with their pitching, and they've got a good, decent offense. I like Wilmer is a good player. Julie's going to be good. They do got Soler and Consorto. I think that's decent, but it's just they're in a really, really tough division, and I just don't think they quite had the stuff yet. I see what San Francisco is doing to build, and in the future that they may be a pretty good team out there. I have Arizona in third. Arizona, they've got okay pitching, and they've got Corbin Carroll, and that guy's awesome. That guy's incredible. But I just think that both the Dodgers and the Padres are a little bit stronger of teams this year. So I got Arizona sitting in third. San Diego, I think, goes to the wild card. They've got great pitching, not just with Cease, and they've got Musgrove, but don't sleep on Michael King by any means. That kid's got some juice. And then, they've got some really good veterans that can show the way there. They got Darvish, Avila, and all. So a great mix of young as well as dominant and veteran pitching. So I think that's the kind of stuff that it takes to get to the playoffs. They've got a pretty good offense. Of course, they've got Machado. Xander's a really, really good middle infielder, and he's You know, he's not a huge like power guy, but he's a contact hitter, and he can get RBIs, and he's got some speed. So him being in their lineup, I think, is a plus. And then of course Tatis, that guy's going to have a killer season. You know, as long as he stays healthy and clean, he'll be good to go. Then of course at the top, the Dodgers with the second best offense in baseball. Not to mention, they've also got some pretty darn good pitching. God, that rotation is pretty stacked if everybody performs. And of course, they've got what's probably going to be this year's National League MVP. I just don't see how anybody in that division can win more games than them. Hell, I only see one or two teams in the whole league winning more games than them. So,
okay, all right. So why don't we now we go to the we'll do our first. Give your World Series predictions and who you think is going to win it all. Brian, we'll start with you. Let's let us hear what you got for the World Series.
All right. So from the AL, I'm actually going to take the Mariners.
Wow. Okay.
And from the NL, I'm going to take the Phillies. And I'm going to have Phillies over Seattle.
Okay. All right. DJ, what about you?
In the AL, I got the Orioles.
Okay.
NL, this is going to surprise you guys. I got the Reds going to the World Series.
Whoa. Okay. Well, you said you had them getting hot.
That's what point I want to say for this part. I didn't want to say my team was
so
going to the World Series
who's
earlier.
Orioles going to beat them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Orioles going to beat them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Charles, how about you?
I've got the Braves winning the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Who are the Braves going to beat?
They're going to dominate. We dominate the playoffs once every 3 years. It's cool. So they're going to do that, and I actually also have the Mariners. I got Seattle. I just think that it's a feeling I got about this team this year and this pitching rotation, man. That offense is going to do just enough to keep them in every game.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this then, and then we'll go on to. I'll just ask you like real quick, like MVPs for each league, and then Cy Young, and then we'll wrap up the show. But one thing about Major League Baseball playoffs, and obviously as a Brewers fan, I didn't like the way ours ended last year against the D-backs. But then again, the D-backs, they had a nice run in the playoffs, all the way to the World Series. So it's like, well, you lost to the World Series runner-up, but. How do you guys feel about? I know there was a lot of complaining from like the Dodgers. I believe it was the Dodgers and the Orioles that were complaining the most about. They had the bye and then they have the short series. I mean, is that big of a deal to you? Or I see Brian. I'll go with you first because you're shaking your head. I mean, was that overblown?
It's an excuse.
Yeah,
it's an excuse. You get to line up your matchups 100% the way you want them to be. You get to put who you want on the bump for game one. You get to do you don't have to worry about your players getting hurt leading into that. You have time for your players to recover. It's an excuse. As an Orioles fan, we lost to Texas, and Texas was a juggernaut. You guys lost to Arizona. Arizona was a juggernaut. Those teams ended up winning. Now, there is something to be said for getting hot in the opening rounds and going through. Because the Phillies, that's kind of been their MO, the last 2 years, until they ran into Arizona. So, I mean, there's something to be said for playing early and winning early and playing well. Sure. But yeah, it's an excuse. I don't believe in that. The Orioles, they're young, and that was their problem,
Okay. Charles and DJ, you guys pretty much agree with that, or do either of you have a different take on that?
I agree.
I don't mind. I don't mind the format because baseball is not meant for one game; it's a series.
Yeah.
So I don't get the complaining part with the players. I mean, you play so many days, during the season. You barely have a day off, so you're not used to. It's not one and done. It's not March Madness, so and baseball's meant to have a series. So I don't see why they're complaining.
Okay. So let's see. I just want to show Troy's. He's got. O's over the Mariners and Braves over the D-backs, and the Braves winning over the O's. So, okay. So DJ, why don't we go with you? Give MVPs for each league, and if you want to do the Cy Young, go ahead and do that too. So,
okay. MVPs for each league. The AL, I got Juan Soto winning it this year.
Okay.
The NL MVP, I have Bryce Harper.
Oh, okay. All right. Brian, how about you?
NL MVP, I'm gonna have Mookie Betts.
Okay.
AL MVP, I have Corey Seager.
Okay. Charles?
So NL, yeah, it's your current home run leader, Mookie Betts. He's just going to be on fire all season. It makes me glad that I have him on almost every fantasy team. And I've got J-Rod just squeaking out over Bobby Witt Jr. for the AL MVP.
Okay.
The flip side of that, are we doing Cy Young too?
Yeah, go ahead and do Cy Young, and then I'll get Cy Young from DJ and Brian too, and then we'll wrap up here.
Cy Young, I got Cole Reagans just beating out George Kirby for the American League Cy Young. And in the NL, it's going to be Spencer Strider. He's going to take it over Nola, who will probably be second in voting.
Okay. All right, DJ, how about you? Cy Young's for you.
NL Cy Young, I have Dylan Cease.
Okay.
AL Cy Young, I got.
Oh,
the suspense is killing me.
I know. Oh boy.
He's gonna say Corbin Burns.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for him to unfreeze, hopefully he does unfreeze and doesn't end up. Well, Brian, how about you?
All right, so NL, I have Spencer Strider too. I'm going to keep picking him every year until he wins a Cy Young because the guy's top 2 pitcher in baseball. And then AL, I'm going to go Corbin Burns. I think he's going to do magical things in Baltimore. One thing I do want to say is I think when it comes to Rookie of the Year, Wyatt Langford in Texas, that dude's going to be a beast. He's going to be an absolute beast. So I believe in him big time in Texas.
Okay. All right. Oh, hopefully he comes back on here. And yeah, Troy picks Acuna and Rodriguez for MVPs, and then Strider and Burns for Cy Young. So, yeah, hopefully.
I like the
that really
year
just like in the perfect time, and then all of a sudden he froze. So, all right, guys. Well, why don't we wrap up here? Okay. Hold on. All right.
Okay.
DJ, you back? Okay. Don't tell you froze again.
We almost had it.
Yeah. So we always wrap up with our weekend plans here. Hold on. Let's see. Maybe if I bring him back. Oh no, okay.
Oh.
He's you back, DJ?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Okay, all right.
Hey.
Okay. I don't know if it's my internet connection for I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, well, okay. So you were, I believe, going to tell us one of your picks for Cy Young.
Oh, I thought it said. Okay, I'll say it again. All right.
Yeah.
For the NL, I have Dylan Cease.
Cease, yeah.
The AL, I have Corbin Burns.
Corbin Burns. Okay, that's what we thought it was, but
Yeah.
Oh, and Troy's waiting with that. Who is it? Okay, all right. It's Burns, Troy. Okay, it's Burns. Corbin Burns. We got it. All right. So, anyway, so yeah, why don't we just and usually for Brian and DJ here, we kind of wrap up the show with any final thoughts or like weekend plans that we got or whatever. And so, Charles, you got any big things going on this way? Are you just gonna sit around watching baseball for opening weekend, or what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, man, I'm going to watch baseball. I'm going to watch basketball. I'm going to watch Kyle Busch wreck Christopher Bell. It's going to be a good weekend. And, of course, we're going to do the Easter thing. So, pretty excited about some of the things the kids are going to have in those baskets. Ought to be a good time.
Well, yeah, are you catching any of the UFL? Because remember, this is the United Football League opens this weekend. I don't know if you.
I'm gonna watch all the real sports that are going on.
Okay. Oh wow, jeez, wow. All right, Brian, how about you?
Let's see. Tomorrow we have Disney on Ice. Tomorrow we go on to Disney on Ice.
Nice.
That's just for me. No, my 6-year-old daughter. That's for her. Saturday
you're gonna be that one creeper. That's just like.
Oh yeah, dude, front row in my Moana dress. I'm there. Belly shirt and everything.
Hey man, whatever floats your boat. Okay, this is a judgment-free zone.
We all have weird things, man. Saturday, my brother's having Easter, so we're going to his house for Easter, And then my daughter's on spring break right now, so I took off. I'm off with her the whole time, so she heads back
Nice.
Tuesday. So we'll figure out everything else from there. We were going to go down to Orioles. They're about an hour and a half from me, so we're going to go down there for this weekend. But my daughter was punished for a little bit of time, so we took that away from her. So
Yeah,
that's okay though.
Oh,
We'll get out to a couple games this year.
I was gonna say there's 161
Yeah.
more games left or whatever, so I think you'll be okay. DJ, how about you? Any big plans for the weekend?
I don't know. My birthday's tomorrow, so
Happy
well, happy birthday!
Birthday.
thank
You're
you.
21st.
I appreciate it, guys. I don't know. I might just chill in the house. I don't think I'm have any big plans tomorrow, so I don't know. I might just stay around, watch some baseball. But
Okay.
yeah, I might think of something last minute, do something, but I'm not sure yet.
Gotcha.
You got Rodon going tomorrow.
I'm gonna have my fingers crossed the entire time.
Yeah, I have him on my fantasy team, so I need him.
Well, now I just got to ask: have any of you guys seen the new Ghostbusters movie?
I did. I saw it
Yeah.
today.
How was it?
It wasn't as good as Afterlife,
Okay.
but I liked it. I love Paul Rudd. Anything Paul Rudd does, I will
Sure.
pretty much love. It wasn't as good as Afterlife, but it was still worth seeing.
Okay.
We showed my daughter Afterlife actually yesterday, and we told her if she wasn't scared, then we go see the new one today. So that's what we did, and she liked them both. She liked Afterlife better also. I thought this one gets a little bogged down a little bit in the middle with some story that really doesn't have a whole lot to do with anything, but I still thought it was very good.
Well, we're going. I asked because that's one of our big things is tomorrow where we go and taking the kids. My wife and I taking our son and daughter to see that for.
Did you like Afterlife?
You know what? I'm not sure if did we even see that one?
That was good.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. My wife and I may have watched it.
Okay.
But I don't think the kids did.
Okay.
So
It's a good movie. It's a good popcorn, movie.
Is it? Okay.
It's just,
all right, that's good.
it's not going to
Yeah.
kill. It's not going to like destroy your vision on everything in life, and you'll have some good laughs on it. It's good.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's kind of our big. I mean, we got stuff with my wife's side of the family for Easter, but hopefully, yeah, I just enjoy some sports over the weekend. Enjoyed the opening weekend of baseball, and everybody just come on back here next Thursday at 8:30 Central Time, and we'll talk about the first week of baseball. We'll have a few of the other guys back too. That like our boy Ben is over in South Carolina right now for. He's the big Brewer fan in the group, so I could have maybe had him arguing with you guys over all your picks for the Brewers, but yeah, he'll be back next week and tell all of you how you were all wrong with your picks, I'm sure. And no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, everyone have a great. Thanks for joining us, and
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you bet. And appreciate you guys joining. And anytime you guys want to join us, and of course Charles is. Oh, hold on. Let's see. Troy just said that the show would have went until 2 a.m. Touche, Troy. Touche. So, all right, guys. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here next week.